Hi, this is the week 11 Tech Demo summative assessment by Allison Dermody and Anastasia Herkler.
Right, so for the summary of this case study, it is about Mr. Jackson, who is a ninth grade English language arts teacher, and Mr. Jackson teaches 4 90-minute block periods each day. Each period has 15 students, all of whom attend class in person. Each of his students have been reading a novel of their own choice for their literature unit, and this covers the Common Core Standard CCSS.ELA literacy.RL.9/10.3. Analyze how complex characters develop over the course of a text, interact with other characters, and advance the plot or develop the theme. The students will give an in-class oral presentation to their classmates about how the characters in their novel develop over the course of the story. This will involve the Common Core Standard CCSS.ELA literacy.SL.9 through 10.4. Present information, findings, and supporting evidence clearly, concisely, and logically, such as listeners can follow the line reasoning and the organization, development, substance, and style are appropriate to purpose, audience, and task. The students use PowerPoint slides and index cards with handwritten speaker notes to give their oral presentation to the class. Mr. Jackson watches each student's presentation, collects their notes in a printed version of their slides in order to access students' understanding of character and thematic development, as well as their oral presentation skills. So the goals for Mr. Jackson are, for one, he wants to formally assess how well students are able to analyze character and thematic development. This is a complex and important skill and needs to be deeply and accurately assessed. He wants to formally assess students' oral presentation skills. This also is an important skill that needs to be deeply and accurately assessed. Third, he wants students to learn from each other. As students listen to one another presentation, they take notes about character and thematic development. After all students have presented, each student writes a paper summarizing how these literary elements are used in multiple novels. And then fourth, as a formal summative assessment, he wants to be able to give students not just a grade, but detailed feedback about their literary analysis and oral presentation skills. So the challenges that Mr. Jackson faces are the students hate it. Many students get anxious or simply do not like standing up in front of the class to give an oral presentation. The students in the audience also find it boring to spend the entire period passively listening to other students' presentations. Two, to make it more interesting, Mr. Jackson has tried other versions of the assignment. For example, one year he required students to create an art project that visually represented character and thematic development. However, it was difficult to deeply and accurately assess students' literary analysis skills based on their art project, and he could not assess their oral presentation skills. Third, it is difficult for students to remember everything their classmates present. When writing their summary paper after the presentation, students often shyly remember their classmates presented. And then fourth, with 60 students, the assignment takes up a lot of class time and generates a large pile of index cards and slides to keep track and grade. So for what we chose for this week, we used Prezi, and for Prezi, a basic account is free for both students and teachers to use, so the student can see the student's project. So I'm just going to show what it's like whenever you sign into Prezi for the first time. So this will just look like when you search Prezi on the internet using the link on the previous slide. And then you're gonna want to go click make an account. And once you do that, you use your email and you can use a password, and you can choose if you're a student, educator, and then invite your team. So this would be where like the teacher can make a Prezi and send it to each student so he has access, or the student can make an account and send it to the teacher so he can access. So here's where they can put the emails. So Mr. Jackson can put either the students' emails or they can put his email in here so they're all connected. And then you can start by pushing create and just doing a basic Prezi account, which is what we will be using for this project. And then this is looks like whenever you go in and you can choose a template to make. And then this is the one that we will be using later on. Whenever Anya goes, it already has the book report template on here, which is really nice. That means the students don't have to make their own template. And then you can title the presentation and you can share it with just people in this class, or you can share it with anyone. So for the student, this will be a fun and creative way that will keep it engaged for the students. And at the end of the presentation for the student, they can do a final sum up. So it's easier to remember for everyone that's listening. And so this link is just a finished Prezi presentation. So this is what it look like when the teacher presents it for the board. So the student will just share the presentation with him and then he can put it on the whiteboard. And you can go through here and it has cool transitions, so it's a bit more interesting and eye-catching. So
the key features is the purpose of this activity is so that the students are able to analyze the character and the thematic development, assess the students' oral presentation skills, and where students can learn from each other. So I'm going to talk about how the Prezi will help the goals and challenges. So once you've created an account, you'll have this little like dashboard and it'll like show you all the presentations and everything. So I went to Prezi Present and this is where it'll take you to your dashboard and everything. And then I went to here and it says create from template and I clicked that. And then there's the categories and I went to education and nonprofit and I scrolled down and I found these two, a book report dark for if the book they're reading is a little bit more darker, like a murder book, and then book report light, like Alice in Wonderland. For this one, I will be doing the Alice in Wonderland one. So this is gonna look what it's gonna look like when the students are creating it. And this is really nice because it'll also be easier for the students, and it's not just like a Google slide or a Microsoft slide, which they probably do a lot for a lot of classes. This is different. So here they would add the picture of the book, and this is really nice because you can just search images, or you could upload one from your computer or from your library. So you could just search a book. And then here you would type what the book is called or just book report. And then this is supposed to be the about the author one. So you would go to this slide and here's about the author, add a picture of him and his other books he has done. And then this goes more into the other books he's done. Go back. Go back like that and then review. And the students could obviously change this to be more like the project, like add the themes and everything. And here's the thesis. They could make that the themes instead, because this isn't just like a regular book report. And then they could add their own twist to it to make it more them and more fun, or the color palette of the book maybe. And then this is how they could also share it. They just hit share. They could do present, view link, collaborate, live Prezi or Prezi video. And then if they hit create video, that's how if he would, instead of having them present it in person, maybe he could have them videotape it on their own time and then present it to the whole class, so that way students don't get as nervous, or have them do the video and also present it in class as well if he'd rather do that. Then every time you want to go back, it'll say back, and you can just hit that. The plot, so like the summary, like that. And then if you scroll down, it'll say back to parent, and you just keep clicking on that. There's the style, which is the different colors. They can change the shape, the text, the brand kit, add animation to make it a little more fade in, fade out, kind of just like a regular presentation as well. It's nice because this is very easy to use, and also on the website there's also like little tutorials on how to use Prezi as well, because it is a new software for some students, so it can be very confusing.
All right, so this is just like pictures of Prezi being used in the classroom. And I used Prezi whenever I was in high school, so the same time as these students are using Prezi. And I just remember I remembered a lot more from whenever the presenters were presenting, because it was more catchy and more innovative, and it caught my eye more, which is why we chose it for this week. And then I know Anya also used this whenever she was in high school, and we both just agree that we thought this was the best, that got completed all the goals and challenges.
And it can be really helpful as well because it's new to a lot of students, so they don't feel like they're just completing a boring slide, and it will hopefully keep the other students engaged while they're listening as well, because it's something new and it kind of works in a different way than a slideshow.
All right, well, thank you.
We just made it.